Good morning, Titan Nation. Today is Thursday, April 10th, 2014. I'm Nomi.
And I'm Arletty. Titans, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
It's the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act and now over to CNN Student News for the story.
Time for the shout-out. Which U.S. president signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 into law? Was it John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, or Gerald Ford? You've got 3 seconds. Go. President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 into law using at least 75 different pens that he handed out to civil rights leaders and supporters. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
It's the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. Its goal to end discrimination based on someone's race, religion, what country they came from, or what gender they were. And that extended from businesses and schools to voting booths and even bathrooms. The act was passed after one of the longest debates in Senate history. In the 1960s, it was as controversial as it was historic.
The nation was in turmoil.
The downtown plaza.
Young, predominantly black protesters against public discrimination on buses, in bathrooms, and at lunch counters were beaten and hosed down in the South. America's very democracy was at stake. And then President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in and decided to stake his early presidency on passing the Civil Rights Act.
No memorial oration or eulogy could more eloquently honor President Kennedy's memory.
But the politics were as nasty on Capitol Hill as the prejudices on the streets of the South. Southern Democrats who felt their way of life was being threatened threw up hurdle after hurdle in the House. Across the Capitol, senators like Robert Byrd and Strom Thurmond filibustered, trying to talk the bill to death. Richard Goodwin worked in the White House for Kennedy and then for President Johnson.
He was from the South, and he had seen firsthand, of course, the poor blacks and the poor Mexican Americans and others who were not getting a fair break in the society.
Urging swift passage for the bill.
LBJ not only supported the bill, he also knew how to get it passed on Capitol Hill.
Johnson he was the master of the Senate. And as majority leader, he knew where all the bodies were buried. He knew what everybody's weaknesses were.
So the new president worked the phones, calling all sides.
He would be on the phone with Dr. King. Then he would call Governor Wallace. Then he'd call Senator Dirksen. And then he'd be on the phone with Richard Russell. He was pulling out every stop.
He'd call them in the morning. He'd call them at night. I mean, there's a story of calling a senator at 2 in the morning, and he said, "I hope I didn't wake you up." And the senator said, "No, I was just lying here on the bed hoping my president would call."
Johnson's arm twisting worked. The bill fought its way through Congress. The filibuster was broken by Republicans and Democrats.
There's warm applause from members.
With his signature, LBJ made the Civil Rights Act of 1964 the law of the land, following a groundswell of public support after violence and hate had tested the nation.
Today is day 4. It has been said that teens like to speak their mind. Well, that's only half true when it comes to telling a friend to drive careful and never ever drink and drive. Studies found that only 50% of teens would speak up if their friends were driving recklessly or distracted. Speak up. It may just save your life and yours.
If you're a senior going to Grad Bash this Friday, you have a meeting today. Be there.
Attention all JV and varsity girls basketball players. There will be a meeting today at lunch in Coach Kenneberry's room. Please make an effort to be there so you can get all of your loose ends tied up. See you soon.
For those of you that have signed up to Skype with the Tracy Lee, artist and lawyer of the entertainment industry, the event will be hosted in our library this Friday, April 11th at 11:40. Only those of you who have signed up for the event will be permitted in the media center during lunch. Plan to ask great questions.
Titans, remember, have pride in our school and pride in yourself. Do the right thing.
Titans, tomorrow is the National Day of Silence, a day of action in which students across the country vow to take a form of silence to call attention to the silencing effect of anti-LGBT bullying and harassment in schools. Now starting today and continuing through Thursday, the Alliance will be selling Day of Silence buns in the courtyard during lunch, Friday after school in room 5236. You are invited to help the Alliance break their silence through viewing of the award-winning movie Bully. There's no cost to view the movie.
Old phones, tablets, and inkjet cartridges will be collected through next week. Please help support the basketball team by dropping them off in room 3126.
And now, over to the Golden Gate Sports News. Join the Superior Raider Titan Marching Band Color Guard. They are looking for dedicated, enthusiastic, and energetic students to be a part of their organization. Auditions will be held on April 15, 16, and 17 from 5 to 7 p.m. If you have any questions, contact Mr. Goff.
And now over to Mrs. Doria with a quick announcement about prom tickets.
Senior prom coming up on May 10th from 7 to 11 at the Naples Beach Club. So Thursday and Friday to $80. We look forward to it. It should be a fun night. We've got a lot of things planned, and we just wanted to be a good time for you.
And here's what's happening this week at the Gate and the club scene.
Golden Gate High School's blood drive is today from 8 a.m. to 2:30. Help save your life.
Don't forget, the yearbooks are still on sale for $75, and with the $10 coupon, they are $65.
That's it for the school news today. If you would like, stay tuned for the Silent Friday video. Have a great day, Titan Nation.
The last couple of days, we had heard that Tyler had his head shoved into a wall locker. They said he is a geek.
My concern is that you were making someone feel so uncomfortable that they didn't want to be in school.
I feel kind of nervous going to school because I like learning, but I have trouble with making friends.
They said he is a geek. Some kids had told him that he is worthless, to go hang himself. And I think he got to the point where enough was enough.
Tonight, a tragic situation.
A Perkins boy, just 11 years old, believed to have been desperate enough to take his own life.
This is an awfully complicated and difficult issue.
Kids will be kids, boys will be boys. They're just cruel at this age.
Here, what we get is nothing's wrong. We didn't do anything. Everything's fine.
They punch me, strangle me, take things from me, sit on me.
Give it to him hard!
He's not safe on that bus.
I've been on that bus. They are just as good as gold.
My voice is not going to fall silent. I will go to my grave until a difference is made.
We reached out to parents that have lost kids, parents of kids that are being bullied all over the world, and it took off like wildfire.
All it takes is for one person to stand up.
Be the difference. Go out and find that one child, that new kid standing over there by himself. Be willing to stand up for him.
Everything starts with one and builds up. Eventually we have an army.
If we all do it together, we will change the world.